On April 1st, 2016, 32-year-old Nicole Fitts told her roommate that she had to run a quick errand and meet someone at a restaurant nearby. Nicole had decided that it was time to pick up her 2-year-old daughter, Arianna Fitts, from the babysitters who had made multiple excuses for why she couldn't pick her up sooner. She withdrew some money from the ATM, presumably to pay the babysitters and pick up Arianna, but Nicole never came home. 1 week later, Nicole's body was found in a shallow grave covered by a wooden board in a San Francisco park. Her daughter, Arianna, has never been seen again. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Graydays TV, and today I'm going to be talking about the death of Nicole Fitts and the mysterious disappearance of her daughter, Arianna Fitts. Nicole Fitts, who went by Nikki, was the middle child of 3 sisters and grew up with a single mother. Nikki has been described as shy and naive growing up, but seems to have been an incredibly kind, compassionate, and driven young woman. As a teenager, she volunteered frequently at Culver Slauson Recreation Center, and at just 15 received an award from the city of Los Angeles for her volunteer work. The Fitts sisters, Catherine, Nikki, and Tess, were only teenagers when their mother passed away. But despite being split up among various caretakers, they remained close. The bond continued into adulthood, and in 2012, Nikki, her younger sister Tess, and Tess's girlfriend moved into an apartment together in Pacifica. By this time, Nikki had a daughter named Cindy. The 3 had a hard time affording their apartment, and when Tess and her girlfriend moved out, Nikki, who was pregnant with Arianna at the time, wound up staying in a women's homeless shelter, while her daughter Cindy went to stay with her father in Southern California. At this shelter, Nikki met a person named Lamasani Briggs, who invited Nikki to come and stay with her. In the beginning, it seemed like a good situation. Nikki got a job at Best Buy, and she was incredibly happy to be out of the women's shelter. She paid Briggs rent and also paid her to watch her daughter Arianna while she was at work. Tess, Nikki's sister, claims that Briggs was taking advantage of Nikki, and eventually Nikki decided that Briggs' nieces, Ciolo Hearn and Helena Martin, should babysit Arianna instead. Ciolo, a Uber driver, lived with a roommate in Emeryville. Helena, whose married name was Martin, lived with her husband and children in a small home in Oakland. Nikki thought it would be okay to have Briggs' nieces watch Arianna, while others felt she should find other child care services outside of the Briggs' family, especially since as soon as Nikki stopped letting Briggs watch Arianna, she raised the rent. Soon, all of Nikki's income from working part-time at Best Buy was going to Briggs. In addition to this, Nikki was never actually given a key to the apartment. She was only able to get in when someone else was home. After a few months, Tess and her girlfriend caught on to what was quickly becoming an abusive relationship, with Nikki frequently receiving abusive text messages from Briggs. And eventually, in November of 2015, Tess and her girlfriend picked up Arianna and Nikki from Briggs' apartment and drove them to Santa Cruz. But even after Nikki left, allegedly she still received abusive text messages from Briggs, including a message from Briggs stating, "Bring my baby back here." At this point, Nikki was commuting 2 hours each way from Santa Cruz to San Francisco, trying to hold on to her job at Best Buy. She crashed on friends' sofas during the week and left Arianna with Helena and Ciolo when she was at work, often working overtime and taking overnight shifts. At the same time, she was in the midst of a custody battle for Cindy after CPS removed her from her father's care, and would frequently have to travel to LA for court. Eventually, one of Nikki's coworkers offered her and Arianna a place to stay, but Helena and Ciolo were reluctant to give Arianna back to Nikki. In mid-March 2016, Nikki had contacted them to pick up Arianna, only to be told that the pair had allegedly took Arianna to Disneyland, a fact that they didn't tell Nikki beforehand. At this point, Tess and her girlfriend said that they had not seen Arianna since February, and it is not known how long it had been since Nikki had last seen Arianna, which takes us to the events on April 1st, 2016. On April 1st, Nikki spent the evening with a coworker after work. They went to the mall, and towards the end of the evening, Nikki went to a 7-Eleven nearby and withdrew several $100s. When she got home, Nikki and her roommate began watching a movie. But halfway through, Nikki received a phone call. She told her roommate that she was meeting someone at BJ's restaurant, but that she would be back soon to finish the movie. Her roommate woke up the next day to an empty house, noticing that she received a text message overnight from Nikki stating that she was headed to Fresno with a friend named Sam. But her roommate had never previously heard of a friend named Sam and was confused because Nikki didn't have a car to travel in order to meet anyone. It was later discovered that at 1:13 a.m. on April 2nd, 2016, Nikki made a post on Facebook. The post said, "Spending time with my 3-year-old, need this break." A lot of people found this post odd because Nikki was reportedly fanatical about correct grammar and spelling, and because at the time Arianna was only 2.5, not 3. Nikki also failed to show up for work the next several days, which was incredibly out of character for her. When Tess and her girlfriend found out Nikki was gone, they immediately traveled to San Francisco, and Catherine, Nikki and Tessa's older sister, flew up from San Diego. They filed a missing persons report with the San Francisco Police Department for both Nikki and Arianna, and shortly after, Tess and Tessa's girlfriend immediately started to suspect Arianna's babysitters. "It took me a few days to start suspecting the babysitters," says Tess. "It didn't dawn on me that they could have something to do with this, but then it clicked. What is the missing link in all of this? It's them. So many people commented on the missing post about Nikki and Arianna, and not once did they. You're the ones who spend the most time with Arianna. You should be the first ones to be concerned if she's nowhere to be seen." Tess and her girlfriend went to the police, but they had almost no information on Helena or Ciolo, besides their first names, which they only recognized after scrolling through Nikki's list of friends on Facebook. Tess's girlfriend requested to be friends with Ciolo on Facebook, and she accepted. But when she sent a message asking if Ciolo had seen Nikki or Arianna, she didn't get a response. Luckily, a few months prior, they had driven Nikki to a early morning drop-off at Helena's house in Oakland, so they knew the neighborhood where Helena stayed. So they went to the house and knocked on the door, but there wasn't an answer. But that was still more information than they had before, so they took the address to the police. And then on April 8th, 2016, a week after Nikki disappeared, Tess and Catherine got a call from one of the detectives working the case saying that they had fresh information. But when the sisters arrived at the Hall of Justice in San Francisco, they were informed that Nikki's body had been found, which was not exactly the news they were expecting. A gardener working the early morning shift at John McLaren Park noticed an out-of-place wood board with some silver characters painted on it in the bushes. Underneath this board was Nikki's body, curled in the fetal position in a shallow grave. The death was quickly ruled a homicide, though no details on exactly what the cause of death was ever released. But in the beginning, police were very confident that they would solve this case. Police tracked down surveillance footage that was shot near the park, and tracked down Nikki's friends and co-workers. Search warrants were issued for Ciolo's home in Emeryville and Helena's home in Oakland. There were no signs of Arianna, but it came to light that Helena had previously served 6 years in prison after killing the father of her 2-year-old when she was 18. And the San Francisco Police Department later told the media that Ciolo and Helena were uncooperative with the police investigation and that they were both giving inconsistent statements. For months, the police investigated leads and the media tracked down Nikki's friends, co-workers, and potential suspects. But by the time May rolled around, it appeared that nothing was panning out. On May 18th, at a large press conference, the Fitts family and Best Buy issued a $10,000 reward for any information leading to the recovery of Arianna. But the case itself seemed to be dwarfed by the issues of the San Francisco Police Department. At that time, there were a lot of things going on that sort of took media's attention and the public attention away from the Fitts case. About a year later, in 2017, the San Francisco Police Department reported that they had seized a vehicle that they thought was connected to the case. But beyond that, there have been very few updates to the case in the last several years. The Fitts family said goodbye to Nikki on the ocean near Marina del Rey. With the help of victims of violent crime who paid for all the funeral proceedings, they had Nikki's ashes placed in a salt urn that dissolved as it sank. Nikki's murder remains unsolved and no one has been charged or arrested in the case. And little Arianna has never been found. So the question is, where is Arianna Fitts? Let me know what you guys think in the comments about this, what your theories are on where Arianna might be. I'm going to leave information in the description down below on where you could call to give information on Arianna or anything like that if you have any. So be sure to look for that if you need it. Other than that, don't forget to leave a comment and let me know what you think. You can also like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you're not subscribed already, I really appreciate it. You can also leave a comment letting me know what other cases you want me to look into. Like I've been saying, it really helps me narrow down the cases I need to look into when I know that it's been suggested in the comments. Or you can email me. My email is in the description down below, and I check that frequently. But as far as what I think, this is an extremely sad case. Nikki seems like she was really trying to make a great life for both her daughters, but just so many things got in the way every single time. And I don't want to put any theories out there on what I think happened, but I will say that I think that the babysitters had something to do with both the death of Nikki and the disappearance of Arianna. I'm not sure if it was Briggs or her nieces, but it definitely seems like they had to have something to do with what happened to her. But again, let me know what you think. But that's all I have to say for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate the views. I really appreciate the comments, the likes, the subscriptions, all of that. We're almost at 8K, which is really awesome. So I really appreciate that. But like always, I will see you next video.